All right, everybody, what's good, y'all? What's good? What's good? What's good? It is Wednesday. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. Hope you guys are having a great time. Hope you guys are having a good week. Looking forward to the weekend, most definitely. But I've got another fire conversation for you, and it's going to be on kind of an interesting topic, one that I haven't really talked about all that much. But I'm seeing this sister talking about it a lot on Twitter. She's catching a little bit of flack, but we're going to talk about Texas Governor Greg Abbott and why she thinks he needs to go. But before I bring her on, just remember to hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, hit that notification bell. That way you'll be informed whenever I release a live stream or upload a video. Also, you can support my work at afreshperspective.locals.com. That's where I have all my premium content that other people don't get. It's only $4.99 per month. Come on, help your boy out. Also, if you want to do a one-time donation, the links are right there. Appreciate anything and everything. If you're benefiting from my content, then feel free. But without further ado, she hails from Arlington, Texas. She was a candidate for mayor of Arlington. I give you Doni the Don Anthony. What's going on, sis?
What's going on, man?
Not much. Welcome
I'm
back.
out here enjoying the nice weather. It's not raining for once.
Yeah. This past weekend, it was coming down pretty hard down here in Austin. So I'm sure it was up there too, where you're at. Yeah,
it was like storming really bad one day. It was really scary. The noise was scary, but like I like it when it rains because it cools down a little bit.
Yes. See, and I like all that lightning and thunder. I love it. It's like heaven to me anytime it happens. See, I'm from Southern California, so the weather pretty much stays the same. I mean, they get rain out there, but not like they do here. They don't have like the seasonal changes, so I like the variety.
Nice.
So before we get into the conversation, for the few people who may not know who you are, because I know you're all kinds of famous right now, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you?
I don't know what he's talking about. I'm just Doni. I just ran for mayor of Arlington, Texas. I ran for mayor of Arlington, Texas recently. I did not win, and I did not get close, but I did make an impact. So I did win in a sense. I'm still out here fighting hard, putting my 2 cents out there heavy. I've been actually going after Greg Abbott since March or so last year when he did the shutdowns initially. But I just was on Twitter and I was talking my smack, and then I grew a platform. People named me Doni the Don. I was given that name. I didn't make it myself. I was Doni04 when I started, and now Doni the Don. But I'm just a regular person like everyone else. I just want to make sure we know our rights are protected and voices are heard, because I'm a strong advocate on our constitutional rights.
Good. And that's why I had you on here previously, so you can check out that video if you haven't already. But I had a question. I mean, are you going to run for office again?
I was considering it, but I think at the moment I'm going to be more helpful doing what I'm doing right now, and helping people find different candidates. I'm actually going to be starting my own blog down here, kind of like what you're doing. Mine's going to be pretty local. It's going to be called The Red Sense. And it's going to have, like, Wix has a thing where you can have an app, and then you can send notifications to people. So whenever there's news or local events coming up, or, hey, you're supposed to vote, don't forget, like, I'll have all that out there. And I'm going to be even more involved than I already was, because I already co-lead 2 different conservative groups. Now I'm just really pushing it out there. 2022 is huge. It'll make or break the Republican Party. People really need to understand that these endorsements, just doing the same old thing the Republicans have been doing, is not going to work. If you guys do the same thing, we're done, especially in Texas.
Yeah, I agree. We'll get into it. Just one other quick question. From your campaign, from the whole process of running for office, what was probably the most important lesson that you learned as running as a candidate?
You got to reach as many people as possible. You have to, and touch them, reach them, and as soon as possible, because people make up their minds soon, even though they have to look at other options, which is, honestly, I think you should look and see what your options are before you just jump on the first one that pops in your door. But you have to do your research. People have to do it. I'm realizing Republicans and Democrats seem to work together in a sense. The establishments. The guy who won the race here, he's a Democrat. He was endorsed by Republicans. He was getting money from Republicans. And we just had 2020 happen. We voted in Democrat primaries, and they were helping this guy over to two, I'm not big on the whole skin color thing, but over two black conservatives, strong black conservatives. You went with the white, rich Democrat. Doesn't make sense. I mean, actually, it kind of makes you guys look bad in Arlington. You got to start doing your research and then stop just voting for who people tell you to vote for. Because that's, people ask for term limits. People say they want voter integrity. At the end of the day, you're accountable for who you voted for. And a bunch of Republicans voted for a Democrat.
That is a very important point. I mean, especially when it comes to knowing who you're voting for, knowing why you're voting for them. I think a lot of times we do just have that knee-jerk reaction to vote for who the establishment puts in front of us. And that's, what's accounted for a lot of the stuff that we're dealing with right now. And then that kind of leads us into what we're going to talk about. So Governor Greg Abbott, you're not too fond of him.
No.
So give us a reason, give us an idea as to why. What's the issue with Abbott?
Let me explain this as simple as possible. One of the reasons I am a constitutional conservative in the first place, I grew up as a very sheltered child. I was looking forward to moving out of my parents' house and making my own rules and do my own thing. During the whole COVID shutdowns, I felt like my parents were telling me what to do. They told me what I had to wear to go to the store. They told me what time certain places I could be at a place and have to be back home. It wasn't a curfew, but certain places kind of closed at a certain time. So therefore, in a sense, there was a curfew. There was businesses, like, for example, bars. They had to make their bar a restaurant in order to stay open. So I don't like that. That's not constitutional at all. And when I see stuff like that, it's so bluntly unconstitutional, our rights are being infringed on, it turns me off completely. I made multiple videos when he's doing it saying, Greg Abbott, you're going to lose my support if you keep this up. Get rid of these mask mandates. Stop this. Nothing. And everyone was cheering with me then, but for some reason, all of a sudden, Trump's like, you know what? Let's go with Abbott. Let's endorse him. Everyone's like, yo, yes, massa. Let's go with Abbott. Like, y'all making fun of the Democrats for being sheep, but you're acting like a sheep. It's just two sheeps and two different lines. Just going in different directions.
Yeah, pretty much. That was great. So here's the thing. I know, even Republican governors like Ron DeSantis and Brian Kemp, they did have some, orders in that regard, but they opened up a lot sooner than we did here in Texas. Do you have the same criticism for them, or do you think that maybe they did a little bit more right, or how do you feel about how they handled it?
If you shut down, I have the same criticism for you. I just wasn't paying attention to you because you're not my governor,
right, to
be honest.
Right.
And here's another thing to think about too. I think it's awfully strange how Ron and, let's go with Abbott, just Abbott. Abbott gets all this positive press from the fake news side. Don't you people find that strange that CBS and all these people are giving Abbott positive news and he's a Republican? How's that possible? So that's why people think that Abbott's doing this good job. Like we were shut down for over a year. People are like, oh, Texas is open. No. We were not open 100% capacity. And people were told how to run their businesses. So no, Texas was really bad. And I actually was considering moving for a little bit. And I was like, nah, I got to stay here and fight.
Yeah. I mean, and what's sad is that, a lot of places that you would move to would probably be a lot of the same. I mean, again, some governors were better than others, but we saw this going on all across the country. So why? This is Texas, right? We're supposed to be conservative. We're supposed to be constitutional. Why do you think he went along with this whole thing in the first place?
I believe he's a CCP asset. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I saw the articles. I guess there's something where he was with them and they were talking about having policies here in America line up with their policies. And he was praising them for their I think it was like their 77 or 66 year anniversary of one of those conferences. First of all, why are you there? Second of all, why are you praising communist China? They're inhumane. They're terrible to people, and they're our enemy. Why are we having our governors? Why do we have people doing that here? He's also allowing them to buy land in Texas. Buying land in Texas. I can't remember. It was over a million or 100-some thousand acres that's been purchased in Texas by the CCP, close to military bases, by those wind turbines as well. Might have something to do with what happened during the storm this year. So it's not very good decisions. And people are like, are you going to go ahead and vote for him if he makes primary? I'm sorry, you guys, I'm not doing it. It's the same as going ahead and voting for Beto. He's freaking CCP asset. If we don't get Abbott out during the primaries, we lose, period. We lost already.
So if that does happen, are you going to vote down ticket, or what are you going to do?
I'm going to vote down the ticket and see if there's somebody else, or like an independent or a libertarian or something. Like, I'm going to have to look. But I think that the guys that we have running against Abbott, they're very strong constitutional conservatives. I don't have a pick right now because I'm going to be fair. Like, I ran a race. You just don't jump on a bandwagon instantly. At first, I was all for Chad because he was the first one out there talking about this stuff during the pandemic. And I'm like, yes, go for it. Because I was having my emotions for what Abbott was doing. And then Chad's like, I'm going to come around and not do this. What are you doing? And speaking up and using his platform. But, I had to wait. So we have Chad, watch Chad, and we have Don Hoffines, and possibly Alan West. And I can't say at the moment who I will be going for, but I'm watching. I'm going to make the best decision I possibly can. I do have a responsibility with that. People are wanting to know. Even though I think you should look at my endorsements, I think you should do your own research. But people are going to want to know what I think.
Yeah. Now, I mean, and I've been noticing on social media, like you're getting a lot of pushback, and we'll get into a little bit of that. But overall, I mean, would you say? Yeah, exactly. Excellent. How are most people responding to your being so outspoken about this?
Well, honestly, most people are agreeing. Let me tell you. So there's conservatives that are on Twitter, and there's conservatives on Facebook, and there's conservatives on Gab. I tell you, the most common sense conservatives are the ones on Gab, because I don't get very much pushback on Gab. They're like, no, he needs to go. They are straight like me, most of them. I don't have much pushback on Gab. And I have, 17,000 followers on Gab. It's not like a little tiny pool of people. They're not all from Texas, but there's a lot of people from Texas on there. And speaking of that, Gab, Abbott was trying to get rid of Gab. There were only free speech platform, and you're going to get rid of it. You're not a constitutional conservative. You're not conservative at all.
I only got to glance at those headlines. I didn't dig deep into the story. What was his whole deal with Gab? Like, what was he trying to do, and why?
He was claiming they're anti-Semitic, and he was trying to get rid of them, and it's not welcome here in Texas. And honestly, I think he got a bill and a check from the big tech and the CCP, and that's what he did. There was absolutely no reason for that. But you're sitting there working with the CCP, dude. You're talking about Gab? Absolutely not. I was angry. I really like Andrew on Gab a lot. He follows me. He's shared my content when I was running for mayor. I like Gab. I can't wait till it evolves. More of us that get on Gab, the better the platform will be, and start really using it. And sometimes I use Gab and on my Twitter, and I go back and forth on my browser, and I can't tell. I'm like, oh wait, that's not Twitter, that's Gab. So it's getting really close. Like I really like Gab. He's got a lot. Gab TV's coming to have a little spot now where you can put your little money, like a link to where you can have people go and donate to you and everything. Right. So they're doing their darndest, and I'm very loyal to them because when we needed them, they were there.
Yeah. And the thing about Gab too is that, I mean, first off, what he was saying was way late, because I remember back when Gab first came out, I got on there, and I mean, either way, I'm not for banning stuff. So even though I saw what I saw, I wouldn't have advocated for banning it. But yeah, I probably wouldn't. I didn't feel very welcome on that platform when it first came out, because they did have an issue. With it. But I have been messing with it a little bit lately here and there, and it's totally different. Like I'm not seeing nearly what I saw when it first came out. So those claims are completely false. I mean, there are white supremacists on Twitter, right? I mean, they're on Twitter, they're on Facebook.
They're famous and have blue check marks too.
Blue check marks, they don't get rid of them. So regardless of what it is, there's no reason to ban it. It came off to me like virtue signaling, like he was just trying to please the left, or I don't know who he was trying to please with that, but that left a really bad taste in my mouth. Any governor that's going to push for that type of censorship That's I'm not going to be cool with it.
Right, and then to not battle Twitter or Facebook, but you're going to come for Gab. Before I forget, so that remember I said there's a Facebook and Twitter conservatives. Facebook's a little harder because you can congregate to groups. There is a group on Facebook called Fire Abbott. It is hard, man. It is nice. I gotta send it to you. It's lit in there. Those people sound like me. Like there's a bunch of us. Shelley Luther started it actually, and the one who had the salon. It is crazy in there. We're straight up like at first some people were trying to attack other candidates who are running like no. The focus is getting Abbott primaried out, and so we're like really trying to find plans where we're trying to organize to make sure that happens. That's the Facebook ones and Twitter people. I don't know if they're bots or Abbott workers or something. Though on Twitter, there's quite a few sheep, and it's kind of annoying. Honestly, I say it's annoying because they really sit there and watch you guys for over 5 years, call the left and Democrats sheep. And then when it comes time to talk about primaries, you're attacking me. You're trying to say I'm getting paid to attack Abbott. You're trying to say I'm not a real conservative and I'm a liberal. I'm like, all I talk about is our constitutional rights and freedom. How can you turn that into anything Democrats say? My platform looks nothing like Joy Reid's platform. Absolutely nothing like it. Mm-hmm. So it's the pushback is interesting. And like, honestly, I like it because it means I'm doing something right. Because if everyone's just sitting there agreeing with me, I'm not doing anything right. Mm-hmm. And I've been blocked a lot. I think you've seen it. They come to, the thing is they come to my post and my page, run their mouse, and then I say something back and they block me. Like, what's up? You guys make fun of Democrats for that and call them crying liberal tears, but you're doing the exact same thing. So the Republicans, you got to wake up. It's the same. It seems like it's the same on both sides. And there's a lot of us who are constitutional conservatives, people who actually do care about our rights. And we're more of, I think, honestly, we're the majority. Some of us are more quiet about it because they don't want to get attacked. Just like people were quiet about supporting Trump because they want to get attacked. And they're watching me get attacked and they're just liking my post like, yeah, get him, girl, get him. But no, really, truly, like Texas is huge. Honestly, I believe if we get all these rhinos and establishment Republicans and Greg Abbott into Texas in 2022, Texas is turning blue. It's turning to Democrat Party, period. Like, I would bet money on that, and I don't like betting money.
I am concerned about the same thing. I mean, in what you described, like the way we just have a knee-jerk reaction to just follow along with what we're being told. I mean, don't you see that as a problem nationwide too? I mean, even in how we elect our lawmakers, or even the president to a certain extent, and even governors, I just see that a lot of people just go along with the flow. And then once those people are in office and they don't do jack, then they complain about it. And I'm trying to tell people, like, if you don't like the establishment, then you need to be participating in the effort to get these people out. Not get them out by letting Democrats win, but get them out by putting actual constitutional conservatives in their spot. And I think a lot of people are waking up to that, but I'm not convinced that it's enough yet. I mean, what do you think is what is the obstacle there between people realizing that and actually showing up during primaries? There's no reason why we should only show up when the White House is on the line. We need to be showing up during the midterms and especially during the primary season. Why don't you think that people are waking up to that?
Well, because the media tells us what to think is important, what's not important. So, regardless if you're on whatever side you're on, I mean, we've all been, I don't know about you, but I've been guilty when you just focus on one particular thing, but the local elections are the most important. Mm-hmm. So when you do have a tyrant in the White House, you have your local elections who are there to protect you from the tyrant that's in the White House. And it's just, if people really start paying attention, if we made a big deal about our mayors, our council people, as much as we made a big deal about our Congress and our president, it would be a big difference. We have a higher voter turnout. And then, to a sense, too, that's one of the downfalls of the Republican Party. I see a lot of go vote stuff from the Democrat side. And so when you go through their stuff to register to vote, you're going to get their marketing material. I have never seen Republicans do it ever, which I'm actually planning on trying to do that, by the way. And I'm going to look at a big pool of people who are not registered voters, who are qualified to vote. And there's a lot of people who are registered voters who don't vote. So
Right.
yeah, get people out there. It's going to be myself over here in my area. It's going to be trying to expire and get people out there to vote. Like, I guess, I don't want to say like the Donald Trump Donnie or whatever, but like just what he did, but not be him, to get people out there and inspired. I'm going to be speaking at different events. I have another speaking event coming up soon for critical race theory. It's a March. I don't know exactly what I'm saying quite yet, so I'll text you and let you know where we're going to go with that. But I'm still out talking to people and doing everything I can and getting the name out. But at the end of the day, if you're going to vote, there's ballots, right? You can go and look them up online before you go to the booth. Look them all up. You don't have to go off of just who all the Democrats are telling you to go for. Like, honestly, as an example, there's no offense to Tim O'Hare. I don't know anything about Tim O'Hare at all yet. But as soon as he announced a whole bunch of Republicans who are big names or big names in the Republican game out here, all endorsing him, all saying, yes, go for this guy. But we haven't waited to see who else is running. I'm sorry, he may be a perfectly good guy, but that's very suspicious to me.
Yeah,
and there is
true.
another guy running, but no one wants to talk about it. So that person's name's in everyone's head, and you ignore the other guy who's running.
Well, and that's one of the ways that we get manipulated too. I mean, they make sure that we hear only one name or two names or whatever they want, and then that's what's in our head, and then that's what we do when we go to the ballot box. I got a super chat here for you, so you can answer this one. I'm assuming this question is for you. Any thoughts on Israel and the Zionists and both parties taking over America?
I don't have any thoughts on that. I don't actually pay attention to that. I mean, honestly, I have the things I pay attention to, the things I don't, and I don't really know much about it. Okay. I honestly, to be fair, I'm like, I don't really know what that has to do with America that much. So,
yeah. I'll answer it, actually, then. I'll give my answer to that. I do not believe that Zionists in both parties are taking over the country. Now, does Israel try to have influence over American policy? Yes, and so does every other country. Every country does this to every other country. But like Israel isn't necessarily special in this regard. We have tried to influence their elections and stuff like that, and they tried to influence ours. Obama did it. Everybody's done it. So I don't believe that there's some Zionist conspiracy. I don't buy into that. I can criticize Israel. I support Israel, but I can criticize Israel, and I can acknowledge when Israel's opponents have a point. But I'm not going to go with this conspiracy theory on that. But okay, so
see, I told you I don't know something. I'm gonna tell you I don't know.
Yeah, and that's a great idea, because a lot of people don't do that. And then they'll back themselves into a corner.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to ask you. There was something you said that I wanted to touch on. What other issues do you have with Governor Abbott? Because I know the China thing is there, and then also the COVID mandates is the main thing. But are there other issues that you have with Abbott, or?
Yeah. So all the things that they had sent up to his desk, I believe only 2 out of 8 of them went through. People have been telling him to do a special session back in last year, and he still hasn't done it. He doesn't listen. There's people who are in the state Congress who don't even have communication with him. How are you going to represent us if you can't hear us, if you're not listening to us? There's a wall there. So you're ruling. You're not representing, you're ruling. So that's a huge deal for me when it comes to Greg Abbott. And he's just, I believe he's a liar. I saw where he made this stance and said he was doing something with the vaccine passports, and it wasn't exactly what he said it was. And I'm like,
yeah,
this is pandering. You've been in office for how many years, and you're finally just now doing something? This is pandering. You're just doing it to get elected. And we had that discussion online as well with the whole George Floyd thing. In my opinion, that's pandering. I mean, you guys promised to do something, George Floyd Act. Same like he tells us, makes promises to us, didn't keep his promise to them either. And you're going to George Floyd's funeral, you're putting a flag on his casket. I mean, I would like to have something like that too, but I'm just trying to figure out, like, he's a follower. He's not a leader, and we need a strong leader in Texas. And all I've seen is falling behavior from him, and him honestly listening to the left more than he listens to us. In my opinion, he's a liberal, and with an R next to his name, he's got to go.
You know, and that's something that I wanted to talk about too, because it seems, I mean, especially when you and I started talking about it, because I don't think about Greg Abbott that much. But when we were talking, I started thinking, I was like, you know what? He kind of seems like he's just influenced by whatever way the wind is blowing. Like he licks his finger, puts it in the air, and then he'll go with that. I mean, I didn't have a problem with him going to George Floyd's funeral and all that stuff. My problem is, and I acknowledge he could have been pandering, probably was. I mean, I would say that about pretty much any politician. But are you going to put some action behind that? Are you going to do something about that to make sure that what happened to Floyd doesn't happen to people here in Texas? Right. I mean, we've had shootings here in Austin that were questionable. And I get that he's against defunding the police, but another problem that I had is like he wanted to kind of overrule Austin City Council's ruling regarding defunding the police. And I'm like, I agree with your stance on this issue, but I'm a little bit uncomfortable with the governor interfering at the local level like that. Did you hear about him doing that, or?
I did hear about him doing that, and honestly, in a sense, you know, you get what you vote for. You know, Austin voted for that, and oh no, my battery's going low. But in a sense, they voted for that. You know, but I think he was looking. I think his intentions were to protect the people in Austin, what could really happen, and the things that he's seeing going on there. I mean, that is his city. I mean, I'm quite sure. I think if he didn't live there, he may not have cared so much. But because Austin's like the only city in Texas that has that little stuff going on. But honestly, I supported it. But I mean, those people got what they should get what they vote for. And honestly, I feel like that's what's going to happen with Texas. You're going to get what you vote for. It's going to turn into a blue state because people are doing the same thing and not listening. I mean, I'm not wrong very often. I'll take it when I'm wrong. But like when I look at this stuff and I'm paying attention, I say stuff like I'm not normally wrong. Like when I was telling everybody to go to Gab too, don't just go to Parlor. I feel like it was leading us to like some kind of like butcher shop. People didn't really listen. Then once Parlor was shut down, everyone fled the Gab. I'm like, hi, you should listen to me in the first place. You could have went to both. So
yeah, you could. Yeah, sometimes people get in that mode where they think that, oh, well, I don't have Twitter, then I just have to go to Parler. No, you can use several different media outlets, and it's perfectly fine. Now, one thing I did want to ask you about, because we're talking about Texas possibly turning blue, and this has been a conversation that's been going on. And you mentioned some of the things that the Democrats are doing. What else do you think the Democrats are doing that's allowing them to gain inroads that the Republicans aren't really watching out for?
Well, the Republicans sat down and let the city council get taken over by Democrats. Fort Worth lost a lot of seats. Oh yeah, we got Maddie Parker as a mayor, but they lost a lot of council seats to Democrats. Grand Prairie lost to a Democrat. Democrats came in because these are nonpartisan races. Like Jim Ross came in. All these Democrats came in these local races. Who do you think is going to be who's in charge of those different voting locations? They had a strategy. The Republicans were sleeping and crying over the election from last year, and they didn't move. They didn't do anything. They didn't come out and vote. Very low voting numbers, and now they're going to sit back and complain because you didn't participate. And then if you did, you didn't vote on your own. You did whatever someone else told you to do.
Yeah. And I've actually been seeing that too, especially last year. I mean, I was reading articles talking about how Democrats are winning local races. So we were all focused on Beto O'Rourke back in, what was it, 2018 or what have you. And he lost, but barely. And we were thinking, okay, well, we dodged a bullet there. No, we didn't dodge a bullet. Like, yeah, Ted Cruz is still in the seat, but look at all these local races that they're winning. They're inching their way forward. And I think that what we don't realize, oh, I think I lost you. Oh, no. She's probably having some technical difficulties. But what I was going to say, though, is that the Democrats are putting in a very detailed and long-term strategy in Texas. They don't plan to turn Texas blue tomorrow. I think that they're still going to take a lot of L's in 2022, but they're also going to pick up some W's. And as they continue to do it, they will gradually turn the state purple and the state blue unless the Republicans wake up and do something about it. I think in some areas they are, like here in Travis County and in Austin. During the last election, we actually got a Republican elected on the city council. So that's an accomplishment. We need more of those victories. And this is Austin. So she's the only Republican on the city council, but she could be the start of many if the Travis County GOP plays their cards right. And it seems like in a lot of ways they are. Like you don't hear me criticize them very much because I think that they get it. It seems like they get it. The leadership gets it. But I'm not confident that this is the same in other parts of Texas. Give me a second here. Let's see. I'm just going to check and see. Maybe her battery died. That sucks because we were having a cool conversation. I'm going to read some of the chats. Oh, that's a good point, Mrs. Pinky. If she comes back, I'm going to ask her about this. Kemp was attacked by Trump for growing earlier than him. I remember that. Trump criticized him. Let's see. Oh, that's a good point, The Alchemist. Oh, wait. Hold on. Yeah, there you go. A GOP candidate won the mayoral elections in one of the southern counties that is 85% Hispanic. Republicans are starting to do better in the southern border areas. I wonder why. I can't imagine why a Republican candidate would be doing better in the southern counties, especially in areas that are 85% Hispanic, like you said. It's kind of weird, huh? Let's see. Hopefully she comes back. I don't want to cut off early. What else we got in the chat? If conservatives show up in blue areas, they can win. Yeah, I think so. I think so. I mean, if you look at what's going on even at the federal level, I mean, the Democrats are messing up and they are taking a lot of L's. They're not getting a lot of the stuff passed that they want passed. And with Manchin coming out the way he did and Kyrsten Sinema saying, yeah, we're not getting rid of the filibuster. Too bad, so sad. All the radical stuff that they want to push through is not going to get pushed through. At the very most, they may get some watered down versions of it, which will still suck, but it won't suck as bad. Let's see. What else we got here? Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So it looks like she's on her phone. Give me 1 second. Oh, wait. I think she's back. Hello?
Hello.
Guess who's back?
Sorry,
back
guys.
again. Donnie's back.
Tell a friend. Guess who's back?
Yeah, we can do the whole song. No. So what I was talking. Oh,
my laptop was burning up hot, and I think that's why it died on me that quickly because it was fully charged. I think it got really hot and burned out the battery.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, so what I was talking about before we cut out is that Democrats are focusing mainly on the local level. So we thought we dodged a bullet with Beto O'Rourke, and Ted Cruz still has his seat. But Democrats are, even though they're losing a lot, they're still gaining some crucial wins. And gradually, they're taking a more gradual long-term strategy. They don't expect, the Democrats don't expect to turn Texas blue in 2022. They probably don't even expect it to happen in 2024. But after that, I think that that's when they plan to bring all this stuff to fruition. And since they're doing it so quietly, especially at the local level, because they know nobody pays attention to that, I think that that's how they plan to turn Texas blue. They're starting local first. So what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. When I say I think 2022 is going to be the make or break, I mean, I think that's when we go downhill very quickly in 2022. With we already started downhill with these local elections this in 2021, and it's just going to snowball quickly down, and then it's going to be very hard to come back from that. So the thing is people got to get out and fight. Like y'all came out for Trump and supported Trump. You ought to be doing that now for your local officials, your next elections, for constitutional conservatives. And you really need to think for yourself. Do these people think it's okay that Abbott has shut down our government? Do these people compromise at all? Look at your county commissioner chairs. They're a big reason why certain places were staying closed or open because of whoever was on that county. Who was your who was your county judge? Who was commissioner seats? Yeah, look and see how they were. Look at the news. Go back and Google it if you weren't paying attention and see what they voted on, what they said. And most of your county commissioners have increased your taxes. Get them all out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What do you think? What do you think the best way is to persuade people to do this? Because that's always been the challenge. People know this stuff, but they just don't do it. I mean, what do you think is going to have to happen before they actually start taking action and saying, "Look, you know what? I'm going to check out who's running for mayor. I'm going to check out who's running for city council because we need actual change." Well, what do you think it's going to take?
Well, how about we start having music events, like local artists performing, like things that the Democrats do, and then have tables and booths set up to register people to vote. Get those areas where people are having fun and want to go and like be a part of those events and people register vote. That's what the Democrats been doing. They've been targeting young people that way. Me having my blog that I'm going to start having notifications, all this stuff out as well, and getting out there. Like you got to reach a lot of people. So I'm only one person, so I'm working really hard to get as many people out there as possible. Even after all the elections are over, there was a lot of constitutional conservatives who were running that didn't make it, but there was a lot of us, and we have a bigger base together. So when we all come together and work together, we're going to be good. So, and the other big thing too is how we can do this is we got to talk. We got to have conversations. People don't want to talk about politics. We got to talk about it. It's not just a subject. It's not like a basketball game. This is your livelihood. This is your paycheck. This is your home. Are you going to be taxed out of your home and have to move somewhere else or back in an apartment? Or are you going to are you going to be able to keep your home? Are you not going to be taxed out of your home? A lot of politics is not about a subject. It is your livelihood.
Yeah. And you know that the second thing that you just said, I think something that's more positive is that people are talking about politics more, especially, you know, after Trump, a lot of people became more politically minded and they started paying a lot more attention. But I think you're onto something when you talk about having events like concerts that can bring people together so you can talk about whatever message you have. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with, you know him, you know, Ross Schumann. He's running in Midland, Texas. And he's going to be putting on a concert on Juneteenth, and he's running for city council, and he's going to be having Patriot J and some others come down. It's a great idea, and these are the type of things that the right needs to understand. Like we tend to be so stodgy and stuffy, and we've always got stick up where, and we don't want to do anything. We don't want to engage with the culture. We don't want to engage with the people. We just think that they're just going to come to us magically. And especially here in Texas, because the Republican Party has been so dominant for so long, we're getting fat and lazy, and it's not a good idea. And what I'm afraid of happening, because I think that this is kind of what's happening here in Austin. When your phone or when your computer had died, I was telling the audience that we finally had a Republican elected to city council, and it was 100% Marxist before that. And but the thing is, I think what brought that about, one, she did all the right things. She was knocking on doors. She was doing all that. But I think it just got to the point where things just got so horrible with the homeless issue, with crime, and then they wanted to defund the police. Things got so bad that people were willing to say, you know what, we need a different party in there. We need something different. And I really hope it doesn't have to get to that point all across Texas, because that's gonna hurt a lot of people. So I tend to be more cynical, and I try not to be, but I mean, I think in my estimation that's probably what's going to have to happen. Although I do think that what you're talking about might prevent that. So hopefully more people get the idea and and kind of get with it and start brainstorming new solutions instead of using the same old tired strategy that they've been using, because it's not going to work anymore.
Right. And were you saying as if like they will start a third party, or what do you mean? You're afraid it might happen? Is that what you mean? Like it might happen?
No, what I'm afraid is that what I'm afraid of is that the only way that people will wake up and understand what the Democrats are doing is when they mess things up so badly that they have to consider something else. And I think that's kind of what happened here in Austin. And Austin isn't even the worst of it. But still, I think a lot of the reasons why Mackenzie Kelly got elected is, again, because she did all the right things. But people are just fed up with our local government. I mean, there were other people who were up for re-election who won their re-election, but barely. So I think that Republicans are starting to make inroads in Austin. And a lot of the reason for that is just because it's just gotten so horrible.
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely see that. I think the one issue, like where you're at, you guys are already having to feel it. Tarrant County's been comfortable. Like in our area, we haven't really having to feel it. So they haven't been as active and as hardcore. And for some reason, they keep talking about Tarrant County being the most conservative county in Texas. It's just completely baloney. It's definitely not. It's kindly probably purple more than anything in Tarrant County, what it is. But they've gotten so comfortable and they don't do much. Like when I work with the Dallas County Republicans, they're active. They show up. They do a lot of stuff because they're already feeling it. When it comes to like when I have events like more so in the Tarrant County area, not so active, not going and doing certain things because they feel more comfortable, like they're safe or something, but they're not. So when it all comes down to it, another thing too, when it comes to if these establishment rhinos or these rhinos establishment, these Republicans who have they don't care about the Constitution, they just have money and a big name. If they get in office, I'm going to guarantee you a lot of people are going to stop voting in the Republican Party. They're not going to vote for Democrats, but they're going to stop voting. And they're not going to stop getting active. And the Republican Party may win a race, but they may not win next time because people are not going to come out and vote. Because you guys they're actually, you know how the Tea Party, and what the Republican Party did to the Tea Party, they're doing that to the people who are grassroots who are trying to run for office as well. So when all these big people have got all the support, and got these people rallying for the Republicans, and they see the Republicans not doing anything for them, not helping their candidate at all, they're going to stop voting for you.
Yeah, and they deserve it.
Start of the party.
Yeah. I got one comment in the chat here I think is a good point. David Gray, he says the problem is that conservatives tend to have a full life without politics. Well, what do you think of that?
I understand people saying that, but it's not an excuse. Like it's our civil duty to participate in this. And you know what too? I think a lot of the issues is, both a lot of time is the man and the woman working full time and they're like focusing on their life and this, but that's not even going to matter if we don't pay attention to what's going on. All that's not going to matter. Your paycheck, you're going to probably end up paying 60-80% of your income in taxes eventually, if you're not paying attention because you're working. Why would you do that? We had to make the time to get involved and do stuff. Go out, like even if you don't like you have time, talk, go to events, talk to people, be a poll watcher, or like you could register people to vote like on the weekends. Like I'm quite sure you have time to go to a bar, play your video games, go do certain things. You can make time for this. You just have to make it a priority and make time for it.
Do you think part of the problem is that they just don't really believe the stuff that they say? Because I mean, I think a lot of people, they'll say, "Oh, I'm so worried about socialism," or "I'm so worried about critical race theory, in the schools," or "I'm so worried about this." Do you think maybe that they're not really as worried as they say they are? Because to me, with some of the rhetoric they use, I'm like, you must be in your community doing something about this. Because if you're as afraid as you say you are, how could you not be? I mean, do you think that people may be exaggerating how they feel about these things, or what's your take on that?
I think some people are full of it and they're just talking on social media. I mean, honestly, definitely. Like, how can you literally sit there and say that you didn't like the shutdowns? You're talking crap about these Democrats who did the same thing Abbott did, and then turn around and attack someone who's saying the same thing you're saying, but it's not the person. You don't want them attacking a particular person. They're full of baloney. Because if you truly believe in your constitutional value, your rights, and you want to protect them, you do not support someone who took them from you just last year, and it just ended recently. So it wasn't like you could have forgot it. It wasn't like 5 years ago.
Yeah, I noticed you were getting criticism from people who were saying, well, Trump endorsed Abbott. And then, somebody in the chat also brought up the fact that when Brian Kemp wanted to open up Georgia, Trump criticized him. So, I mean, when I see stuff like that, I'm like, you're more about a personality than you are about a principle. Like people who say things like that. I think that mentality is far too strong on the right. Like they look to Trump to get their cues. If Trump says it, then that's what it is. I mean, have you noticed that, or how's that kind of gone in your circle?
Yeah, I have. And you know what? I need to make a video on this. I got to say something about this. I need to warn the people, especially if you're a Christian, you're a Christian. You're not supposed to worship false idols. And I see a whole lot of Trump worshiping as if he's God. And you're going off of what Trump says before what God says. And I want to warn you, I feel like you're a lot of good people out there, but you guys need to be very, very watchful because you're sitting there making fun of people for praising Beyonce and Halle Berry or Cardi B, but then you turn around and you're kissing Trump's toes. Literally, like you can think for yourself. Trump does not think for you. God gave you a brain for you to think for yourself. He gave you freedom to choose, so you can do that. If Trump, and honestly, I think Trump realizes he has that kind of power. And I think Trump's a good person. At the end of the day, doesn't mean he's not going to abuse it. So, people, you got to think for yourself. I've seen it. It does look like cult behavior. That whole Colt 45 is not a joke anymore. It seems very real. If you say anything against Trump, you attack someone else who's a patriot, just like you.
Yeah, exactly. And I get a lot of it too. I mean, it's, if I write a certain article, these people will know that, that I support a lot of what Trump does. But when I don't support it, I'll say it. And just the way they respond, when they know that I'm not an anti-Trumper, the response is just like a cult, like a member of a cult who would attack you for saying something critical of the dear leader. It's kind of scary. I mean, that people would put that much stock in a politician. Like, yeah. Like I can't put that much stock in any politician. Say Tim Scott. I like Tim Scott, but if he does something I don't like, I'm going to say something about it.
Same here.
Yeah, I don't understand why people have this mentality. I don't understand what Trump is to them that they will react so harshly and that they will make their decisions based almost completely on what he says. How do you think that that's going to figure into things going forward, with the Republican Party? Because we don't know if he's going to run again yet, but even if he doesn't run, he's still going to have tremendous influence. How do you think that aspect, or say the cult aspect, is going to play into the future of the party?
It's scary, honestly. It was when he was all about America first and actually going down those lines. When I see him endorse people who are not American first candidates, to me is very, very scary. Dan Patrick and Abbott were not good endorsements. And there was another endorsement I'm not going to mention right now. We can talk about it later. That he endorsed somebody. I keep seeing him endorse people who are not his strong supporters, who are not American first. So it's like you say one thing, but you're doing another. That really concerns me. And it's very scary. And then makes our jobs harder to get people to vote for American first and constitutional conservatives. It makes it a lot harder when Trump tells them to vote for something else.
Do you think he's doing it on purpose, or do you think that maybe he just doesn't really understand what he's doing, or do you think he's just making a mistake? Or
I don't know what it is, but either way, it's not good. Because you're Trump. You're responsible for who you endorse. You're Trump. You were the president of the United States. You put your name on that. So in the day, it's bad if he doesn't know and bad if he does know, because
that's true.
I can't hold the man to a higher standard than everybody. I have to hold him to a higher standard too. I need to hold all of our elected officials who we support to a higher standard, because that's what we are supposed to have. That's what we want. I don't want a raggedy, broken down vehicle. I want the freaking brand new Ford Bronco. You
want the new hotness.
Yes, that I can really rely on. I can depend on.
Somebody else brought up a good point in the chat too, Mrs. Pinky. She said Trump is also not in the local areas. He was the president. He doesn't know what's going on down on the ground like we do.
Yes, ma'am. She's right.
Yeah.
Snap, girl. Snap.
It's true. I mean, actually, there's something else that she said. I want to get your reaction to this. He says she's talking about Trump. She says he doesn't like Kemp, and people are booing Kemp, but Vernon Jones is not it. I know this is a different state, but what do you think of that whole race between Vernon Jones and Brian Kemp?
I'm not a messy person, so I'm just gonna say.
Oh, throw a sock on the floor. You can be a little messy.
Vernon Jones has a very strong voice in the movement, but the Democrats are going to find something on him that I found myself that might hurt him. So we might have to look at more than one option. But I do like him. But y'all gonna have to do your research. I found it on my own, like this, researching. So I'm quite sure Democrats will bring it up when it comes to election. So just look for your different options. Research everybody, like I've been saying. I'm not saying Vernon Jones is a bad person. I'm just saying there's something that might come up that will make him not win. So,
So you're just gonna throw that little teaser out there, and then we just have to be all intrigued by it.
No, I'm not. Honestly, I don't really want to do. I'm not a messy person, but like honestly, when I have a question, I start researching, right? And I found something. But obviously, I'm not trying to be messy because if I would have shared it a long time ago, that's what I was trying to do. But yeah, I'll tell you after the call what it is. But I really don't want to be messy. But people need to research people. Like I don't know people's intentions when they do things, but I think that he would be he'd definitely be a better alternative than Kemp. But if he doesn't come out, here's the thing, Vernon Jones, if you're listening. Just come out and say anything you got going on. And don't let the Democrats don't let them use it against you. You're a changed man. Just come out and say it. Because it will come out.
All right. Well, I mean, it does go back to what you were saying, though, since the beginning of this conversation, that people need to do their research, right? I mean, and it's not hard. None of us have an excuse because every single one of us has a computer in our pockets. We have computers in our home. We have computers everywhere, so we can do the research.
Hold up. If you don't have any of those things, you got public libraries you're paying taxes for, too.
That too. Ain't nobody trying to go to the library, though. I
like the library growing up. It was one of my favorite places. It smells so good. I love the smell of books.
See, like I love to read, and especially as a kid, I used to love to read. I would devour books, but I always hated the library. They were always so stuffy and depressing to me. I don't know. The ones that they have now are better. That they seem a little bit more lively. But when I was a kid, like they were just like old buildings with old crusty people in there, and it didn't appeal to me.
I like to go in there and hide and like read my book in between. Like I would literally go in between the little shelves and read my books and sit there. And I used to hate the computers because you have a time limit and you have to put in a passcode. That was so annoying. But when I did my books, I would sit there in the middle of in the little aisle and just read my books. And then when the time was ready to leave, I would put in my little bag and go home and read my books. I love reading. I could read before kindergarten, by the way. That's how much I love to read.
So you just hide out with the books. See, you're an introvert, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I knew it.
People are surprised though, but I'm an introvert.
So am I. I used to do what you did, but I used to do it at Barnes and Noble or Borders bookstore. I
did that too. I used to I love going there too. When I was in college, I liked to go there. I love my friends. So I went to Tarrant County College. We would go in Barnes and Nobles and study and stuff. And then it was like, honestly, there were too many people there. People stared. It was creepy.
It is. Oh, do we have music?
I was like, I'm trying to go. No, my phone was ringing. I hung up on them. I don't know who. Oh, you heard that?
I did. Man. I was kind of getting into it, and then you cut it off.
It was
was that Cardi B? Because I know we all love Cardi B, right?
Oh, some generic ringtone. No, definitely not. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you saw my post. Speaking of Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion. I think she's a dude, man. I saw the thing moving back and forth on the stage when she was dancing.
What?
And first of all, what's a stallion mean? And when she was dancing on that go back to my little videos I posted. She was twerking on stage, and there was something swinging between her legs. It was not her hand or her hair. And her name is Stallion. And her name is Megan Jovan Pete. I'm sorry. I think that's a dude. She was built like a dude. Like if you have a woman has that kind of wide built, there's gonna be some kind of pudge, right? It's like solid, like a man. And I'm gonna tell you, all these men who've been fantasizing about this dude. I'm telling you, I bet you it's a dude. I saw this thing swinging. I don't know what else that could have been. I don't have that thing down there swinging. So
See, I'm not really into Megan Thee Stallion because my tastes are more refined. But like, I always thought it was weird that a chick would call herself a stallion. I'm like, does she know that that's a male horse? But whatever.
yes, you know, they be putting that stuff right in your face, man.
Well, I'd rather hear people have that conspiracy theory than the one that Michelle Obama is a man, because that one was just like, come on now.
I don't know. I'll tell you this. I haven't seen any pregnancy pictures, and that's weird. I ain't seen no lady not have any pregnancy pictures. I just haven't ever seen that before. I don't know what to believe in anymore. They be trying to deceive us in every way possible. So I don't know what to believe anymore.
That's true. Maybe Barack Obama was really a woman and Michelle was a man. And they just did it as a huge joke. I don't know.
I think he's a feminine man, but I think he's a dude. They must have some really good surgery on him.
Yeah. I got somebody in the comments saying that the libraries in Tarrant County are very cool. He says, I have been to the Grand Prairie Public Library. See, y'all are a bunch of nerds. That's what's going on here.
But tell me, link up. Tell them to go to my stuff on Twitter and link up with me because I have a groups and stuff. We can meet. They're in my area.
Yeah. I'm actually probably going to be in Dallas next month for the CPAC.
Oh, cool. I'm not going. I'm not paying for that. It's going to the GOP.
Yeah, but when you're a writer for Red State, you know, you get press credentials.
Well,
that's how I went to the one in Florida.
Give a +1 because then I have to pay.
I'll check. I don't know if the press credits apply to a +1, but if it does, then you will be it.
You can say I'm a temporary intern for the day.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure they'll fall for it. They ain't gonna check.
I'm the bootleg over here for the CPAC.
I'll say you're my camera person.
About his endorsement for Abbott. Let me at him.
Yeah, because I know he's gonna be there.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I tell him you said hi.
Yeah, actually, I'll have a little letter from it. It'll just be a little sticky note. Fire Abbott. Just give it to Trump for me. Just that's it.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, we're almost out of time here, but is there anything else that you wanted to say or stuff that we didn't cover?
Yes. People, I know there's more of us that think like us. You're constitutional conservative. You believe that your governor, I don't care if it's Ron, if it's Abbott. If you feel like they have broken their oath, infringing your constitutional rights, you need to speak up. Anytime you see someone, another conservative attacking another conservative, constitutional conservative, you stick up for them. You all fight back. We're not divided. This is a primary. We're supposed to pick the best person to represent us against a Democrat. We are. If you stay quiet, the silent majority, that's played out. We're grown. You gotta stand up and start speaking up. Start posting. Talk to people. Make your own events. Have them at your house. Go to the park. Have your cookouts. Talk to people. The time is right now. And then we didn't have all these people fight and die for these rights that we have for us just to be so spoiled to just let them go away. And then what are you going to tell the future kids what you did? You want to be able to tell them you fought and you didn't just lay back and watch TV and love and hip hop. You did something. And that's all I have to say.
I don't think I've ever laughed this much during a live stream with another person before, but I like what you said. It's the silent majority is played out. I might have to steal that. That's good stuff.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, thank you. I'm actually not really that funny normally, but I'm really passionate about this, and I've been talking about it a lot. So. And honestly, I gotta make people laugh because then people might just get mad all the time. If it's just like, okay, Doni, you're serious about this, but like I totally get it. And then, like you make people feel good too. They get it a little more instead of me just like I kind of go like I'm kind of a firecracker on Twitter. I'm like, Doni, you hurt my feelings. I do support you. I'm like, I know, but like the thing is like we can't be all sensitive about this. This is important. The forefathers weren't sensitive about, how America came about. So we can't be sensitive about saving it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Sometimes you got to give it to them blunt. I
Mhm.
think a lot of people can take it, but don't worry about the ones who can't. Well, you want to tell people where they can find you?
I am Doni the Don, DoniDon on every platform pretty much, including Gab. It's my favorite platform. Go to Gab. And also, one second. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. And also, I'm Doni for Texas, DONI, on Twitter. You gotta follow both pages. The Doni for Texas is a lot of Texas, more local stuff. But Doni the Don is it's nation, is everything. It's my personal page, but my Doni for Texas is my very hardcore Texas political page. And I will be starting my own blog and podcast of my own. It's gonna be called The Red Sense. That's coming. So whenever it does come, it's gonna be theredsense.com. Very easy. It's red pilling with common sense. So that's my thing. My sister made a joke with me earlier too. She goes, imagine if you used a blunt or something, like red blunting with common sense or something. I'm like, that's kind of funny.
It might scare off some of the boomers, though.
I'm sorry. I did a poll. I know my poll's not the only one, but there's a lot of conservatives that are like, not even just medical. They're just like, decriminalize it. There's a lot of conservatives who are not against it. And that's honestly hurting the Republican Party. We're not even the ones who made it illegal in the first place. It was Democrats. So
yeah, it is hurting us. I mean, it's one of those issues that's a hill that we don't need to be dying on. And I even talked to somebody recently who doesn't even agree with making it legal. But he's like, yeah, we need to just move on from that. Like, let it be legal. Like, we don't need to die on this hill. It is hurting us because it's really dumb.
Yeah, and I'm saying decriminalize it and low regulations. Because it's going to make it harder for the little guy to make it if you have all.
Oh, I lost you. Uh-oh. Dang it. It's the Russians. All right. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. But we'll do this again. I enjoy having Doni on. And if you're still listening, Doni, if you still hear me, because I can't hear you, love having you on. We got to do it again soon. And everybody, thank you for coming on out. Thank you for watching this. Please share it and please subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, keep your minds free.